Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to go over Expert Volk. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the fight, and I'll also be giving you guys some tips as well in terms of what character to use and what to do during certain parts of the fight. Please do keep in mind that this is a week 1 guide, so I could be missing information, but it should be helpful nonetheless. I'm not going to discuss standard mode because I feel like that fight is pretty easy and not many guys are having trouble with it seems. Now expert mode, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it looks intimidating at first, but this fight is actually not that bad. If I had to rank Expert Volk with Master's High Dragon Trials, I would put him somewhere in between Master's High Mercury and Brunhilde. To put things into perspective, my first clears for Master's High Dragons usually took me somewhere around 3 to 12 hours to beat, aside from Zodiark. Zodiark took me about an hour. Expert Volk took me less than an hour to get my first clear. Basically, I watched a video on it, went into pubs and got to phase 2 on my first try, then lost immediately at the start of phase 2. Then I died a whole bunch of runs straight, and eventually on my 8th try, I got my first clear. It's really not that bad. It took me about 5 hours in pubs to max out the 6-star sword, but I guess for an expert quest, it is difficult when you compare it to other expert content. Anyways, in my Discord, I call him High Mercury 2.0 because he's literally a punching bag in phase 2. Phase 2 is way easier than phase 1. Phase 1 is the hard part because it takes some coordination, and when there's coordination involved, then that's when there's a problem, because if you do this fight in pubs, obviously you're playing with a bunch of randoms and you can't communicate. Therefore, the only way your pub team can figure out this fight and figure out each other is through trial and error. That's when all the deaths occur. If you die or lose in phase 2, it's most likely due to not having enough damage to beat the timer or to destroy the orbs. Now, to make sure that doesn't happen to you, let me go over stats, characters, and requirements for this fight. First things first, the requirement in the pub meta right now is 9,000 might on the 3 DPSers and 8,000 might on the healer. These are the bare minimum that players are looking for, and this is assuming everyone has proper equipment. Yeah, I know, the requirement is insane, but you're gonna need some beefy guys in order to take down Expert Volk. He might not be that difficult, but he sure is hella tanky, that's for sure. Again, basically High Mercury 2.0. Now you are probably wondering, how do I achieve those insane might stats? A big part to achieving it are through your facilities. You want to get max dojos, max altars, and get your new Agito Flame Tree facility upgrade to at least level 11. When you beat standard Agito, you'll get your first clear rewards, and it gives you enough golds to max the Flame Tree to level 15, which will grant your flame characters 16% extra HP and strength. Unfortunately, the 0 unbind 6-star weapon won't be enough to get you through Expert Agito. For this fight, you're going to need a max unbounded High Dragon tier 2. By the way, 600 augments on your character is mandatory. You gotta put 200 augments on both your worm prints and on your character. Now speaking of characters, let's discuss the pub meta. The character that you must have is Halloween Lowen. He's very important in this fight, so he's 100% a must have on the team. Now as for the 3 DPSers, the most common and successful team comp that I have ever been in is the Lowen, Ezreal equipped with Arctis, Yuden, and Xania comp. This is hands down the best comp so far. The other comp that I had decent success with is Reyna or Aoi instead of Ezreal. I don't really like that comp because it has way too much burn. Yuden has 1 skill that burns, Xania has 2, Aoi has 2, and Reyna basically has 2. It's just way too much burn and you're gonna reach the cap like super fast, so I prefer Ezreal instead of Reyna or Aoi. Obviously this isn't the only comp that works. There's many other characters that are viable, but that's just a common and most consistent comp. You just gotta make sure that the team has 2 characters with stun resistance and 2 with sleep resistance. 1 stun character does work, but I recommend 2 stun and 2 sleeps in pubs. Other viable characters include Halloween Mim, Ngala Mim, Cerise, Naveed, and Carl. Those are the other characters that I know 100% that have had success, but I'm sure there's more. Once you have your flame character all built up, now you just need to learn what to do in the fight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to commentate through one of my replays as usual to explain how to deal with certain attacks. In the beginning, he immediately inflicts Plague on your team. Plague is a status that reduces your character's affliction resistance. It's the reason why your sleep characters are getting afflicted with sleep. In order to get rid of it, Lowen has to heal it off. Heals will reduce the duration. Whenever someone is inflicted with Plague, always try to heal it off. It doesn't matter if everyone's at full HP, just make sure that you get rid of the Plague ASAP. Anyways, let's back things up a little bit. He's gonna teleport in the beginning of the fight, but you still can get a few hits off on him before he disappears out. Make sure that you go do that. Every hit matters, especially for opening rotations. He's going to teleport behind what seems to be the farthest player. He'll do a spin attack, so make sure to either iframe it or roll at least 2 spaces away because it has a rather large hitbox. I can usually get 1 force strike off as Yuden before he spins by predicting where he'll appear, but make sure that you don't mess up because that spin attack does inflict sleep. Underdog scheme is where he places 6 bombs on the stage. There's 3 greens and 3 reds. The greens inflict sleep while the red inflicts stun. You gotta step on the red bombs with a stun res character and step on the greens with a sleep res character. These bombs have to be handled with before they go off. You don't have to rush this part because they don't detonate until the timer hits somewhere around 520 to 515, so you have plenty of time. If a player with the wrong res type is standing next to the wrong colored bomb, please do not detonate it. Again, you have plenty of time, so there's no need to rush. Keep in mind that the color of the bombs is not always in this order. During this phase, Volk is going to do a bunch of purple Beyblade attacks. The Beyblades inflict sleep, so make sure that you don't get hit if you are a stun res character. The Beyblades will traverse across the map 3 times. You can kind of tell the path that the Beyblades will go by taking a look at where they are positioned. Do note that the second and third set of blades targets the closest player. The first set does not, as it's a fixed position. Imminent Illness is an unavoidable purple. Well, not totally unavoidable. Yuden can skill 2 jump out of it, but unavoidable for the most part. If players are stacked on top of each other when this attack goes off, then somebody will instantly die, so make sure that everyone is far away from each other. This phase is followed by 2 dash attacks. These can be easily iframed or avoided by using dodge rolls. He'll disappear and plague everyone again here. Lowen needs to remove the plague immediately by using his heals. At this part, everyone needs to spread out. Each player gets their own quadrant. Underdog's Revenge is when Volk teleports behind each player and does a purple spin attack. If your character is afflicted with plague, then Volk will instantly put your character to sleep when he appears, which guarantees a spin attack to hit. As soon as he appears, you gotta roll multiple times towards the center. After he does the last spin attack, he will spawn in the center, so prepare to attack the center to anticipate his spawn. Next up is the fog phase, and this is where most teams lose because it requires some coordination. Players need a split because Volk will do the purple poison attack again. At the same time, the character farthest away will get targeted by purple and red lines. What you want to do here is have Lowen stand at the edge of the fog to bait everything, then have everyone else behind Volk. I see a lot of Lowen stand at the bottom right and the top right. The top right is preferred because it leaves the bottom part of the stage empty because the red lines goes horizontal. What Lowens do is that they stand top right, then they roll twice to dodge the red lines, then they roll back up to the same starting position. Rinse and repeat. If you are playing Xania, don't position yourself at max range, you'll just mess up the bait. Preferably, your team should defeat Volk's phase 1 around the 430 mark. A little bit later is fine, but your team is going to cut it close towards the very end. Keep in mind that when you defeat his phase 1, he will explode as he transforms, and that explosion does quite a bit of damage, so make sure that everyone is healthy before you defeat his phase 1. You can dragon tank the explosion if you need to, and you can also stop attacking to make sure that someone doesn't die from the transformation. Now in the beginning of phase 2, he's going to do his double swipe attack, and this targets the closest player. Get very familiar with this attack because he does this very often. The first swipe comes out really slow, you have plenty of time to iframe it. On the other hand, the second swipe comes out really fast. You can iframe that one too, but if you cannot, then you can simply just roll through him and behind him. Do note that the second red swipe will always be in the same direction as the first one. It doesn't change targets, although the range on it is a bit wider than the first swipe. After the second swipe, he's going to do a dash attack towards the farthest player. What you want to do here is have one of the range players bait him towards the southern wall so that your team doesn't have to move very far. Now this is where it becomes a little bit weird. Sometimes, and I guess most of the time, he's gonna walk to the center after doing the dash attack. However, sometimes he doesn't do that. I'm not sure what causes his attack pattern to change, or maybe this part is just RNG, but sometimes after the dash, he'll do another 2-swipe combo, so make sure that doesn't catch you off guard. When he goes to the center, he is gonna summon 2 homing tornadoes on top of the 2 farthest players. There's multiple methods on how to handle the tornadoes, but I would say most do it like what they are doing in this clip. The 2 characters with the tornadoes can just stack on top of each other and then start moving in opposite directions around the map. The other method is to just go clockwise around the map, one guy just follows the other guy. Here he's going to summon 4 wolves, and these wolves are very annoying and they will continually do this red dash attack that inflicts plague. Make sure that you kill the wolves whenever you can because they do give dragon meter. Now here you see how Volk does this backwards swing attack in this clip. Sometimes he doesn't do that. Most of the time he just walks to the center into another fog phase, but sometimes he'll do that swing randomly, so be on the lookout. I would just make sure that you always have at least one skill readily available to iframe something every time he finishes a dash, because after he dashes is usually when he does the double swing attack. Resentment is the fog phase. This is fog phase number 2. This is where he does the same red line attacks from the first fog phase, except that this time he'll do his swipe attacks. The order in which the red attacks appear are always the same, so you have to muscle memory this part and understand when to use which skill. The reasoning is because during some parts you have to iframe just the red lines, but other times you have to iframe a red line and then a delayed red swipe or vice versa. Like for example, in the clip you can see me waiting until the red swipe fills up before I iframe with skill 2. That way I'm able to dodge the red swipe and the red lines. If I did it a little bit earlier, then I would have gotten hit. I could sit here and tell you guys the pattern, but I don't really think that will help. I think it's best for you to go into the fight and learn from experience, in my opinion. Just remember that if you are unable to dodge the swipe, you can always roll through him to the other side, but make sure that you roll back to your original position away from the ranged characters because you don't want to accidentally bait the swipe towards the ranged players. This is also around the time when you should break him. If you don't break him here, then your team has to go through the 4 tornado phase, which is not pleasant to do in pubs, so yeah, make sure that you break him here. Depending on where you break him, he'll do one of 2 things. He'll either do his swipe attack into Steel Vitality, or he'll just do Steel Vitality immediately. You want to make sure everyone is healthy enough to tank Steel Vitality. This is around the time when my Yuden gets dragoned up, so I just dragon tank it. It's a really nice way to quickly kill off Konohana. Here he's going to roar and summon more wolves, and he'll do a dash attack that targets the furthest player. This is followed by the double red swipe attack, and this is where you should save your skills. Lunatic Judgment summons a blood moon in front of him. You must destroy the blood moon in time or else you just lose basically. This is why I said to save your skills earlier so that you can destroy this blood moon ASAP. If your team has someone running Arctos, then they can stun him out of this phase. Whether you stun or destroy the blood moon here, he will do Steel Vitality regardless afterwards, so make sure that everyone is healthy so that they can survive the hit. Volk will walk back to the center again, and here's another 2 tornado phase. Deal it the same way as the first time. Next up is the last fog phase that you'll see. He'll give you a few seconds to freely DPS, and then after you see the first red lines, he'll walk to the center and summon Blood Moon again. Again, you want to save your skills for this moment so that you can destroy it ASAP, or alternatively, you can just stun him with Arctos. Once he's out of Blood Moon, he will do his double red swipe attack and then his exclamation point swipe, which targets the side opposite of where he's facing. Usually teams will beat him around this time, but if you don't, then you are faced with the 4 tornado phase. It's the same as the 2 tornado phase, but this time everyone on the team has a tornado targeting them. The best way to handle the 4 tornado is to have everyone spread out to the side of the map and just slowly go clockwise. You don't want to be too fast or too slow with your movement, or else you might get hit by somebody else's tornado or even your own. Your dragon might be up during this time, so if you dragon before the 4 tornadoes pop up, then that can give you a higher chance to survive. If you manage to survive this 4 tornado phase, then you basically won. If not, then he'll do another dash into more swipes, and that's pretty much it. Again, I don't think this fight's that hard, it just takes a while. It's like what, a 5-minute fight on average, so yeah, definitely a very long fight. Anyways, that's the end of this, I guess you can call it a guide. Hope you guys learned something out of it. This is also going to be my last video for 2019. I want to thank you guys for all the support this year. Let's hope 2020 is even better. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year's, enjoy time with your family, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
アギトに噛み砕かれろ。せいやせいやブレイジングクラウブレイジンググローリー。力を持つ者に弱者の何がわかる。
お守りしましょう。
もっと苦しめ。ブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウ目覚めろアギト。ブレイジンググローリー。終わりだ貴様らの下だけ。ブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウせいやブレイジンググローリー。そうサクキザブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウ
オートよ咲き誇れ。ひらり
せいやせいやブレイジングクラウブレイジンググローリー。せいやせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウ病を広めているのはお前たちだ。せいやせいやブレイジンググローリー。せいやせいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウせいやブレイジンググローリー。せいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいや
オートよ
皆殺しにしないとな。
ひらり
ブレイジングクラウブレイジンググローリー。病は広がり続ける。ブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいやブレイジンググローリー。せいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいや目に映るすべて無駄なブレイジングクラウせいやせいや
オートよ咲き誇れ。ひらりいかがひらりいかが
ブレイジンググローリー。刻むブレイジングクラウせいやせいやせいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいやブレイジンググローリー。せいやブレイジングクラウせいやせいや目に映る全てに無駄なしよ。ブレイジングクラウ